Every now and then, a Kickstarter campaign comes along that is just so awesome that we have to talk about it the moment we see it. And we did that with aplomb on a most recent Kickstart Your Weekend. It was great. I've got the immense pleasure of actually talking to the creator and kind of lead writer and world builder of Astro Inferno, Andreas Ruu. So, with Devious Dungeons, Foreboding Forests, and the coolest cats, and in this case, dogs as well, you'll see. My name's Phil. Welcome to the Dark Orb. Hey, Andreas. Thank you for
Hey.
joining.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you. This is such a
Yeah.
cool game. So let's not beat around the bush. So you have a Kickstarter campaign running right now. It's got some time left. Let's have a look, because I'm super prepared.
Yeah.
Oh, where's it gone? Do you know that thing where the web browser just changes the layout? 18 days left, and you're smashing through the stretch goals.
Yeah, I'm done with stretch goals. I can't add anymore.
Thank
So
you. Seriously,
after
thank you for stopping at a sensible time with stretch goals and at a point where you know you can deliver
yeah,
what is there.
I calculated the costs and well, it's time to stop at 100,000 euros. So
That's amazing. So yeah, Astro Inferno looks to be like a horror, sci-fi, existential role-playing game. If I was a player, what kind of
yeah,
see, I
she
told you.
wants to be here. So
The coolest cats and dogs. What if I was a player? Give me an idea of a couple of different setups that I might encounter as maybe when I first came joined the session one. So what kind of story might I encounter?
well, it's really built to incorporate every kind of play style, and every kind of story should fit. But I built the system so it's preferably it's funneling the players into a certain epic and mythical play style. When you roll checks, you can suddenly, I can do like 6 actions. I can kill 6 soldiers or 36 minions or something, and it becomes this epic. The great Titan beast slays all the people in the room, and so it's very narrative. And at the same time, it's like this OSR roots with qualities and stats, and you roll and you get points and you use the points, and so it's funneled the player into this saga, I guess.
Yeah.
And very much the world is the same. It's also made for building myths and creating your own myths, and I call it an odyssey. The players are on odysseys, not adventures. It's odysseys, and they embark on this journey that is another character sheet for the group that will incorporate all the odysseys you're on and all the events that the players are on, and they can use these stories as they progress. Like if they want, if they need like a discount at the smithy, they can. Let's use this story, and they can check it and get a bonus on the roll. And if it was a secret thing like a burglar or something, then it's out. You used it. So and they are tiered like everything else in the game. So but to answer your question, the adventures will be like old classic I guess from the beginning at least, old super classic fantasy adventures, like
Mhm.
you're in a tavern, you know,
I mean, I'm
and
good to stop
suddenly
there, you know. Just
and suddenly a brute comes in,
scroll.
and yeah, uh,
Orange, it's not
and
exactly, you know. Anyway, a brute
I
comes
mean,
in. My
we
apologies.
yeah, we do whatever we can. So I have old coffee actually from
Oh, you're really
early.
selling it.
Yep. This is
I drank my
satanic.
coffee.
Like fuck. No, sorry.
No, that's fine. It's fine. You
Ah,
can swear.
great.
It's not a problem.
Thanks.
Um, I'm a
But
Brit, you know, it's kind
yeah,
of a challenge.
yeah,
So hang on. So
yeah,
let's just say hello to people who are joining live. So hello to Jason, hello to Bullet Bishop Byron, to Yoel, to Sophia, good to meet you, to Tinfoil Saint, Mr. Alteris. One of our regulars, Tinfoil Saint, says, a game with no body horror? This isn't the Dark Orb, it's a mask. So tell me, is there body horror in Astro Inferno? Can there be?
yeah, sure. I'm not really sure about the definition of body horror, but it's
Just
pretty gruesome at
horror.
times.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, like The Thing,
Yes, yeah. That's a perfect example
Carpenter's.
of,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So,
sorry, Zach,
yeah,
to disappoint you, but there is
there
body
is.
horror. Uh,
Yeah, sorry. Actually, there's sort of everything in this game, since the GM has a lot of power. All the power is
sorry, Joel.
yeah. Oh,
School.
yeah. Uh, so the GM has full control over the story all the time,
Yeah,
and he never do any rolls. The GM never rolls anything. The players roll everything.
wonderful,
Uh, so
wonderful. My
the
favorite kind
the
of system.
the players roll if they get damaged, if they fall down, if something happens. It's always the player's responsibility,
Yeah,
so to say.
yeah. You may or may not know this, depending on how many of our episodes you've watched, but my kind of go-to home system that I play, that we've been playing for a couple of years, is Simbram, which of course is
Yeah,
player facing, and I love the idea, not necessarily of it being the player's fault, but as a GM, it really frees you up to
yeah,
be thinking about the story,
yeah.
you know, which is, for
uh,
me, is great. So we did have a question: will there be an example of effectively example campaigns, so example stories? So I guess we're talking about scenarios or
yeah. uh,
be gone.
yeah, like a comet, you'll just release it and choo, it goes away. Like a torpedo, I guess. Well, yes, we're planning to do 2 main campaigns, one introductory and one that follows straight after, and
Hmm.
2 introduction, like micro adventures
Mm.
or something. And this won't be like 30 pages long. The campaigns, I think, are 2 pages, and the
Okay.
adventures is 1 page each or
Hmm.
something like that. And then Niklas is writing something right now that I have no idea what it is, but it sounds really cool. And I don't know, that could be 30 pages or
Right.
something.
Right.
But I wrote the game so that you can like compact, but yeah, you can like
Condense.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can shrink down all the contents of. So instead of describing a creature, you could just uh, give the creature an archetype and 3 modification, and it's a unique creature in 6 words or something.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. And then you can draw
com-
that out as a GM as the story
yeah,
progresses,
yeah,
or flesh it out
yeah,
literally,
yeah.
however you want. That's very cool.
And we're
So,
doing the same with items, and like loot is very important in this game. It's like a looter
we like
shooter,
loot.
but in RPG.
Hmm.
Um, items have stats and abilities and aspects, and that can be randomized if you want to also. So the treasure could be legendary chalice. Okay, it's a legendary chalice. Let's see what it does, and then you roll.
Amazing. So you mentioned it being kind of like a looter shooter. So a couple of questions there. I mean,
Yeah.
one is by default, I'd love to know what you envision a pure Astro Inferno game to be in terms of the background and setting. And the second part of my question for that is, where are you drawing your inspiration from?
Yeah, let's do them in the other order. So my main inspirations are like, I guess this. Okay, here comes the background. I was writing a campaign for Cult, Divinity Lost, and the players, we played it for like a year, and it was set in the 18th century, 7090 something.
Yeah.
In Venice, ridden by plague, and then a death angel emerges and stuff. And as I was playing this, I thought, well, the players know all the lore. That's no fun. Let's spice it up a little. And I invented this lore that soon grew, and the whole idea of the campaign was that it would end with the demiurge palace being disappearing into the ground, and like the start of the metropolis we have today. Sorry if you're not involved in cults worldviews, but
if you're not, then with genuine love, I say you do need to fix that. Even if you're not into the kind of the body horror stuff, the lore is incredible.
Yeah, sure. It's really, really good. It's one of my favorite games that I played since it came out in Sweden many years ago.
Yeah.
And this campaign grew and grew and grew, and we eventually ended it. And I was like, I have a lore up to my knees here. I can't just leave this. I need to use this somehow. And then the Astro Inferno started, and it really started with Turbo Killer, a video by Carpenter Brut, an Italian synth core. Yeah, and that video is a little satanic, and it's like Astro Inferno. It's over the top and satanic, and the good guys are Satan worshippers, and the bad people are like having shotguns formed as crosses, and those are the really bad guys. And and I love that the video ends with like this car chase, and they go over a cliff and starts driving on some kind of spaceship, and the spaceship floats up and becomes this inverted cross. And
I haven't seen this. I'm gonna have to check it out.
You have to.
But we'll see if we can find links for the description below and add that later.
Yeah. Turbo Killer by Carpenter Brut, if you missed it. But and I was sold. I was like, oh my god, this is a game in itself. So I started writing it, and I took a lot of inspiration. I love Constantine, the lore behind Constantine, Hellboy, all those like. I would love to have Nazis in this game, like occult Nazis, but it's been done, and I love those games, by the way, Ashton Cthulhu especially, but I needed to go another route, so Satan, why not?
Sure, hasn't been done actually all that often in role playing compared to other things.
It's a cliche, of course, but if you do it correctly, I think it's really cool. And my personal music taste is really diverse, and I listen a lot of Behemoth and really satanic music,
Ah!
in Sun and others, and then I love like synth
Yeah.
dark wave and synth wave music is like
Yeah.
with the 80s touch.
Has to be.
I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's my main inspirations, really.
Awesome. And do you have any? Obviously, there's Cult, Divinity Lost, and I presume the original Cult as well. But do you have any other RPG influences? And in fact, Yoel asks, do you have any RPG creators that you admire? So maybe that you've drawn inspiration from there.
I have loads, of course. Sweden has like exported a lot of dark games. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but
is there anything you don't like? No.
No, let's not go there. But there are loads of creators that I inspired by and love, and I don't want to mention anyone especially besides Cult, which is like awesome.
Seminal.
Also Symbaroum that you mentioned. I love the setting and darkness in it.
Yeah, and that's kind of
that is how a fantasy game should look like.
Matthias, we've had on the show a couple of times, and he always kind of pictures Symbaroum as a fantasy role-playing game for adults, and it's on so many levels, like the politics and the everything. Mr. Arturith actually kind of elaborated a little bit. Example play sessions that would demonstrate the game. Sounds amazing so far from the campaign in your descriptions. I'd love to see some example play sessions as well. So
fingers crossed. We're working on it night and day. My voice is going away because I've been up so long. But me and Pedro is right now like editing the rules, and we sort of edited them a little too much, so we have to rebalance them. But we're working on it. It's coming. The beta rules is coming out.
It's a challenge, isn't it? Because you want to. Well, I think about it. I really like rules like games, but there are times when you want to have a place to go to for more in-depth rules, as and when you require them. Even if it's just to make a quick decision about how to do something.
I think the rules should always help the GM, not like you have to look it up. It should be a tool that the GM can use. That okay, it's harder than it's like this, and he's affected by this thing. How should I handle this? Well, I have this perfectly usable tool. I don't need to like look it up or something. I just follow the mechanics that everything is governed by.
Yeah, and if you don't like it, then you just tweak it or don't use it. A couple more questions, and then hopefully let's get on to like the lore and the kind of deeper themes. So let's see. Sanjuro Tokage says, loot body horror, I would worry about finding free skins in the game. I mean, if you're playing a video game, you're always looking for those free skins, right? So it's fine. Yoel said something, actually, we discussed this before, whether it's Haxan or Hexan Studios.
I don't know either, so take your pick, I guess.
Bullet Vishabaran says, will the combat in the game be able to use minis, terrain, or grid map, or more theater of the mind?
Yeah, I myself prefer theater of the mind all day, but it's not like exclusively for theater of the mind. You can use battle maps or anything if you want to. There are no like distances in the game, or the distances is like tiers. It's like room length, hall length, palace length, and so on. So not to we don't want to exclude anyone.
Absolutely. Don't want to be lengthist. I mean, I think that's really important, and certainly even with a game that's mostly theatre of the mind, having miniatures for when you have a large scale battle is so helpful. I think it's really, personally, I think it's important also not to slip into necessarily, unless it's what you're looking for, end up in just playing a strategy game where you're just
Yeah,
micromanaging
exactly.
the figures. If you're enjoying this conversation, by the way, and you haven't done so before, then please hit like and subscribe and ring the bell and stuff. And we hope to bring more amazing content your way. Tell me about the lore, because there is some lore in this, right? It's not just
It's like so much lore.
I mean, if your Kickstarter campaign is anything to go by, there is a
yeah,
lot of lore.
there's a lot of lore, and I'm currently writing some of it. Most is done already, but it can always get better. And the main theme of the game is that the world has. Yeah, I've looked
Everyone
for the
join the Discord.
Discord. I can't find it, but I'm gonna. Phil is gonna take me there afterwards.
Oh yeah.
And the world has tumbled down into the void and became like this black kingdom where Satan rules, and it all started with man inventing the singularity, AI, and this is sort of unique for you because this is never mentioned in the game. This is only hinted in the game throughout, but man created a singularity. It became intelligent, and I guess God or the divine powers, the creators, found this to be heretic, uh, creating life in one's own image. So, and so the machines revolted and turned the earth into blood yarn. It's the red dust, it's called, and
wow.
the red gods emerge from like large AI factories, and they like turn human into blood yarn and hang it up on the sky like a trophy or something.
Wow.
So the earth is like spun in a net of blood yarn, and people are hiding in their settlements beneath grounds, the only survivors, and they pray for their savior, but nothing happens because the savior is outside inside the machine trying to kill you. But then a few settlements start to pray to the Dark Lord himself, and instantly the world turns inside out, and the Dark Lord like, yes, that's my invitation, and suddenly the world is like pulverized. The universe is gone. Everything is just a massive. It's like the Big Bang again, I guess. Everything is like fog. My wife with snacks for the sun.
I could have some snacks.
Yeah, I wish I had some snacks also. Yeah, so and if we take it from the perspective of the undying, those are the only humans in the game. There are very few of these fellas, and there are like astronauts stuck on space stations who survived this pulverization of the world. Oh, thank you, thanks.
I'm feeling left out now.
Yeah.
What go to all this effort and not even any free snacks.
Yeah. He usually never gives me anything, but I guess when I'm talking to someone, it's more interesting. Yeah. So these astronauts, future astronauts, are like living in these space stations and like looking out into the great fog that it's called, and it's lasting for like ever. And their emergency systems are like dwindling, and food rations is going low, and most die on their space station. But a tiny few survive, and like open the hatch, step out with their spacesuit, like I'm going. I'm dying anyway, so I'm just going into space. And these are like the first players of this game. You should like one of the introductory adventures are the players playing only Undying from a space station, and they step out into this void and like comes to a location of some sort, maybe a small settlement that suddenly emerges from the fog, and they're walking towards it, and like, what the fuck is this? And they enter this like huge black kingdom that has existed for eons, and everyone here has been human at some time. They're souls. They're like ragged, dirty souls that live in mud and like smear poop in their face, and because they don't want to be punished by the satanic court for looking too human, and it's like misery times 11 cranked up, and all these people are living in a world that they know have existed for like forever. And this is also one tiny tidbit that's not in the game, or not right now, but it may be before I'm finished. We'll see. But before, it's called the torment, I guess. I'm not sure about the name, but before, everyone was tortured forever. It's hell. So basically, hell in an eternity. They were tortured, and Satan is like ruling this kingdom, and back then, eons ago in this world, the world was like, you see hell. It's brimstone and ashes and people getting whipped and flailed and turned inside out, and then they awake again, and like torment forever.
It's the place that the ship went to in Event Horizon, right?
Yeah, that's the place.
Yeah.
But suddenly one day Satan is like not coming to the satanic parties anymore. He's not interested in torturing or raping human souls anymore, and he starts to lose interest in this creation of his, and many dabble. Why is this? What is he doing? And slowly the unlaw, that it's called, it's like inverted nature laws. It's starting to dissipate, and the world is slowly turning into something else. And one day, pandemonium is gone, the Satan's palace. And people are being told it's dropped down into the abyss. It just plunged straight down and disappeared, and Satan is gone, and nobody knows why. And he left his the 69 angels that he fell with from heaven, and those are not really angels anymore. But for the sake of it, there are angels. They are angels still, but they're more like demons, I guess. And their offspring, of course, because these guys have like copulated together, and with humans and with whatever creature they found. They love that shit. And so the world is inhabited by like these satanic beings. And it's slowly going into like people are starting to build settlements, and they are not tortured every day, so they can like, oh, maybe I should like try farming something, or I don't know, instead of eating dirt, because souls love to eat. It's like human second nature next to the other thing. And so they love eating, and love any food they can get hold of, if they have a stomach and a throat, of course. Many don't have those luxuries. And settlements are forming, and locations are being formed, I guess, because this game doesn't have a world. It's just locations. It's like Babylon,
Yeah.
city. It's mythical places, and if you leave Babylon and go out into the Midnight Sea or out into the desert, you go into the void. It's like you can wander forever in the desert outside Babylon, and you will never get anywhere. It's like in Zelda, you can run to
Yeah.
the left forever, and many get stuck in their travels and die, I guess.
So is it the case that there is no specific world, but there are places which
Yeah,
are linked? And
yeah,
I mean, I'm thinking in terms of, for example, in Dungeon Crawl Classics, which I don't know if you've ever played, you
no,
have planes of existence, and it's
yeah.
almost like this sort of, you could. I mean, I don't know what the travel mechanism would be, but almost like in DCC, for example, you could have a book and you turn the page and you find yourself someplace else.
It's exactly like that. You find maps, or you
Hmm.
can make your own maps, but often a map has a tier, of course. Everything has tiers. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, this is a masterful map to Babylon. And this masterful map for Babylon could be like this tune that you hum, and then
Wow.
when you come to the end, you like think of a blue bird flying through the sky,
Oh, that's
and then you're
incredible.
there.
Very Neil
So
Gaiman.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's awesome.
Uh,
A couple of comments. Tinfoil Saint says the future of RPG rulebooks is tip boxes in the rule text for how to hand wave rules. Yep, but they have
yeah,
to be a rule,
yeah.
and you can hand
Uh,
wave the tip box.
I
And
don't. Sorry, I
go
don't
on.
know how many times we've written or the GM decides, or
Yeah,
determined by the GM, and so yeah,
see
it's
point
like
one.
that. Yeah, roll the dice, and then you decide what the
Yeah,
fuck happens.
exactly. Yoel says March
Yeah,
2023 is too far away. I agree with you. And
yeah.
he's just added the character sheets as well. I think the character sheets are the only thing other than the beer mats that I haven't got added right now, but that'll probably change. Uh, but actually, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
there's so much in that
yeah.
campaign. And
I know.
it's quite clear that the setting with the AI and the creatures effectively from hell. There's a lot of diversity there. And if we look at the artwork, that's reflected in a really interesting way. So, one thing that we were wondering about is that, for example, I'm just looking to see if I have anything to demonstrate this. I have a suspicion that I don't in front of me, which is really irritating, but we can jump into the Kickstarter. But there's quite a cartoonish art style in some places, like like a cartoon comic kind of
Yeah,
style. There's also the kind of almost anime kind of rich, like the more recent stuff. Like for example, we were discussing this piece of art earlier, the Leviathan, with really rich, deep colors, very kind of evocative setting work. And then you have the stuff that borderlines onto cult, or the kind of the dark fantasy. I mean, there's a good
mm,
example of the cartoony style.
yeah,
Um, but then you have like the stuff from Helga,
yeah.
which
Uh,
is almost kind of like as I said, the cult divinity lost, the hell creatures. And then you have this stuff, which is just there's such a range of artistic style. How,
yeah.
how do
Um,
I? I mean, as a reader of the book, how do I pass that and interpret that into a cohesive thread?
I guess that's a you problem.
I love it.
The styles are actually, I'm drawing most of the stuff myself, and
Yeah, great.
when
They really
when
are.
starting this game, I was working for Petter at Helmgast and doing maps and stuff, and I got this idea, and
Yeah.
I I contacted an illustrator. Uh, because I haven't drawn in a very long time. So, and I wasn't confident that I could do it. So, I and he wanted, let's see, 2,500 euro per image,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my god, that's a lot of
That's a lot of money.
that's a huge Kickstarter. If I want to have like 50 images, I was thinking back then, and I was like, if I could earn 2,500 euros for an image, I should start drawing again. I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah.
So I started December 2020. I started to draw again, and it turned out really great.
I mean, looking through, I'm going to just flash some images up. So we saw here the Aegis,
Yeah.
Judge of Hades, the Muse. I love this image. This is great.
Yeah.
And then, as I say, we have a 3 in this selection. Maybe a few more from Helga. That one's not from Helga. I don't think Helga Subas.
Yeah.
So this one. Tell me about this image.
This is one of the queens in the Satanic Court. So it's they're like these infernal creatures with abilities beyond comprehension. I usually write beyond dream and myth, and this is like she has snake shoulders, I guess. You know that they have like evolved from their angelic beings, and they keep these thrones that it's called. It's not like the chair she's sitting in. It's like a throne is their base, so to speak. It could be a palace somewhere, a mythical palace. It could be an elevator. It could be inside a train going to London 1925, and so on. Everything is like possible. You could enter a location and like, oh, this is like Hitler's bunker in 1945, and you can't leave, but the people are there, like on Earth. It's 1945, and you're entering there like a satanic being, and like, hello. And this is called loops that you can time travel, and loops are like unstable, so they disappear if you travel to them and like do a lot of commotion. They will disappear. So like these pirates, the necronauts, for example, they're like raiding these loops, like going in there, taking all the food because they love food, like all the booze, they love booze, so they're taking all the fine scotch and like raping the women, riding the men or whatever.
They're inclusive.
Yeah. They love everyone.
Yeah.
And then they go back because this is worth a lot in the Black Kingdom, of course.
Yeah.
Coming with a like Jim Beam plastic bottle of whiskey, you could like buy a kingdom for to a
definitely
satanic king. So
absolutely. This is great. I just love the art style. I think this one you can just about see here. I mentioned about the different art styles, but also we've spoken about like AI, etc. So this is a really good way of kind of explaining that cross genre almost. This banner image. It's probably worth us actually talking about what's in the campaign, being as you know the campaign is live right now at time of recording. Let me bring that up. This is going to appear in a second. I'll warn anyone that hasn't looked at this campaign yet that the campaign page is huge. In fact, let me just do it like this. There we go. There is so much here, and that's not a complaint. You've really put a lot of effort into making sure that everyone can understand exactly what's going on. So hang on. I'm sorry, I'm just fighting with. I don't have two screens at the moment because I'm mid-house move. So we have two different editions of the book. And I was blown away by this because traditionally, when you have various editions of a book, I mean, we've seen this, for example, with Vampire Masquerade, with Cult Divinity Lost. D&D, you get a different cover, and that's it. Actually, with Cult Divinity Lost, there are a couple of different covers, but the Kickstarter exclusive edition had something different. That may exist in other campaigns that I haven't seen, but Cult's the first time when I really noticed it, where the version that you got in the Kickstarter campaign was not the retail version that you'd pick up on the store shelf.
Yeah.
And that was a really nice touch, and I really like what you've done here. Let me see if I can scroll down to demonstrate the Legendary Edition. But you want to just talk about what's different between the two editions of the book?
Yeah, first off, they are completely different. There are completely different, not completely different layouts, but pretty much and the same content. But the images may differ, and the page count will differ. And this is because my background is in printing. I'm actually having a small print studio. Haxan is sort of a small printing studio, and
nice.
we're doing these things, not the books especially, but printing stuff. I don't know what's called, paper stuff.
Paper stuff.
Yeah, paper stuff. Yeah,
binding and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and so we're pretty involved in it, and like know what to do, I guess, and that's why I'm going this route. And to add to the to add to the art question, what you're seeing throughout the game is like my progress as an artist, I guess. From
remembering your talents.
Yeah, and trying to like copy greater artists, I guess. So that's why they are so different, because, well, when you do something, you get better all the time.
Yeah. That's really cool. So with regards to the difference between the core and the Legendary Edition, they've got different kinds of paper. There's much darker art in the Legendary Edition.
My first intention was to create like the Legendary version, but I wanted it to be even darker, like this super gritty, like black and white stuff where no titles or anything, like not user friendly at all, not holding the player's hand. That was my first, but soon I was like, I like to draw this colorful stuff. I want to include it, so it like got cheerier and happier and more poppy as I went, and then I was like, I want to go back to the roots to get this really gritty version. So that's why I created the Legendary version.
It's really interesting. You've got this different binding as well.
Yeah.
The open spine.
This is purely for personal reasons. And
is
I
it
guess,
also coming with a lectern? Can I have a lectern to put the book on, please?
Lectern? Is it like a podium or?
Yeah. So a podium put specifically for reading from, like you get in a church.
Yeah, that's an add-on. So just
excellent.
click on it and you can order that.
47,000 euros.
Yeah, exactly. No, but of course it's like a marketing trick, of course, also. But these bindings are really fun. You see them in like luxury art books and coffee table books and those kinds of books.
Is it as sturdy as a traditional binding? I can imagine it's slightly more delicate, but you kind of.
I'm no bookbinder myself. We just
Wait
print
a minute.
the stuff. We just print the stuff. But we go to the bookbinders all the time. So, but I'm not sure.
I can imagine you might need to be a little bit more careful with it. Yeah. But it's the Legendary Edition, so you're going to be more careful. You're not going to throw it on the table for anyone to play with, are you?
Yeah, it's like the Legendary version. You should be nice to it. So it's gonna be more imbalanced. I mean, the binding is only on one side of the block, so yeah.
It's so cool. So let's have a look at some of these differences. So this was actually the pair of images that drew me to the differences, really. So this is the Core Edition. It's very colorful, super cool. But then when you go to the Legendary Edition, you get all this extra writing around the outside. And obviously everything is toned down as well in terms of the impact of the color. I really like both versions in two very different ways, which is awesome.
And these margin notes actually came from I started to have so much lore that
Mhm.
it wouldn't fit into the book. It still doesn't, because I don't want it to be like 400 pages.
Yeah, you do.
So
There reaches a point where the book size gets silly.
yeah. So I thought, well, let's add it in like tidbits of information in the special edition.
Cool. That's super awesome. And we've got a couple more examples
And
here.
I want to emphasize that you won't miss a lot if you like do the core version.
But you will be
It's full.
missing it. No.
It's fluff, or everything
Yeah.
in the margin notes is fluff, or like theme building, and
Mm. But flipping between the two, you can see how it kind of becomes darker and more visceral. And then I might have these two the wrong way around. Yeah, I do. So, but yeah, switching between the two versions of the Leviathan page, you can see how it just kind of changes the tone quite a lot, actually.
yeah.
I think it's really, really cool. Let me just come back out of that. How do you view characters progressing? This is probably
Yeah.
my last question. How
Yep.
campaign play, really?
Yeah, I only play campaigns. I want them to be very long, and I want the characters to evolve and have many different ways of evolving. That's my main complaint about all the narrative games that I love so much in other ways.
Yeah.
You have like 4 stats, and you can, if we're talking about Fate, for example,
Mhm.
yeah, like 4 stats, and they go to 5, and that's it. And
Yep.
if you're 555, well, you're a god, and it's over. And
You can do anything. Are you
yeah,
bored
and
yet?
you can start over. But I want it to be like you can progress into demon, you can progress into being a god, you
Mhm.
can progress into your master. You have a master in this game, ancient god. It could be Freya or Odin or like Osiris, and you level up your connection with your god. So there are multiple ways of leveling, and you level up your guns. Uh, like if you find a gun, you can use it to upgrade your gun right now. Everything is like between session. It's not like, oh, I got the gun, let's bling. It's like narrative. You'll use
Yeah.
some parts of that, and it becomes better. So leveling is very important for me, and I want the characters to like play 16 years. This character has been with me 16 years. Look.
What you're saying is that it's really hard to die?
No, it's really it's really simple to die. The
Well,
hard
hopefully you
thing is
don't.
to come back.
Yeah.
But you will die over and over in this game. It's like built for dying. There
Excellent.
actually are several types of death in this game,
Oh, cool.
and I'm not gonna go deep into it, but there is the true death.
Mhm.
That is the death of a character, maybe. uh, Oftentimes you get like pulled into reality again by your master's powers, because he wants you keep you in the game, so to speak. You're a chess piece to him and or her, and they want to keep their players on the game against the satanic court. Or with the satanic court, because your master could be one of the satanic court, of course.
Dum dum dum.
Or a worm god, or a eternal, or yeah, there are different kind of beings in this world.
Yeah. So cool.
um,
So cool.
but let's say the players are like fighting, and they're like, yeah, let's beat them. If we die, it's no worries. We get a bit of darkness, but we're not gonna like die from it. And then suddenly the sigil of true death emerges on top of a banner or something. One of the champions is like a big glowing thing that is Genesis. It's Holtzfield's. They are like nanomachines turned into magic. So they distribute truths in their areas. So when the sigil of true death, everyone who dies in the vicinity dies forever. So that really puts oh my god.
Yeah.
now it's for real. So that's the like balance you have on deaths, and then you can like if you corrupt too much, you like you have horns and wings and skeletal parts everywhere and like breathing fire and have a satanic crown and the
That's
satanic
just me
eye
every
and
morning.
you know yeah
Before my coffee.
you could be like that and like chunks of flesh falling off your body and you're
That's
not
not like
human
me in the
anymore.
mornings.
Then you can gain too much corruption and
Right.
you turn into a creature of unlight, and then your character turns into a nemesis for the group. So the character
Very
is
cool.
gone, you have to make a new one, but he's still there.
Is that
And
when
he
the GM would
will
take the
haunt you.
character over?
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Speaking of GM stuff, I think we spoke during the week. There was a bunch of GM tools as well to help with scenario creation.
That's one of my main pet peeves. Pet peeves. That's different. Favorite thing. The making the GM like feel I can do anything and it's really easy because I have these tools. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's lots of rules, as we said earlier, and you're really setting people up for success. That provided they have time, and I'm normally someone who doesn't, or I don't make enough time to read the book and understand what's in there, then it should be fairly straightforward to actually just roll the game out and have a great time tormenting your players. So the campaign has got a number of days left. Say 18 days left, 17 days to go. In terms of the options you have on there, so it's €1 just to sort of put your name down and follow the project. Will it be going to Pledge Manager or Backer Kit or something like this?
Yeah, Backer Kit, and it's gonna be open a fair amount of time since we're still writing. So at least until summer. Maybe if we're unlucky until autumn, I guess. But my main goal is to get this out to the holidays. But I have written March because this is my first Kickstarter and I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
I think that's a good shout. Better to project it too long and then be successful early rather than take the mistake that some of the biggest names in the industry have of promising something in 6 months and then it taking 3 years to deliver.
Especially in these times, of course, with everything going on.
Yeah. 20 euros gets you the PDF of the digital of the core edition, Undying. Then you're looking at 35 euros for the core edition, 59 for the legendary, 85 for both, and that's it. And then there are a couple of top tiers which enable you to contribute to the book in some way. They currently have sold out. They might open up again. So if you want to have some sort of creative input into the game, then keep your eye on those. There's plentiful add-ons. They're going to bump up your investment, but
sorry about that. Sorry.
We'll forgive you when the product comes out. Andreas, how can people find you if they have more questions?
Well, I'm in Sweden, so come to Sweden and look me up, I guess.
Come and look me up. You're at Hacksound Studios on.
We have the Facebook Astro Inferno, and we have hexanstudios.com is the website, and astroinferno.com is the website for the game. So those channels are probably best. Probably the best is to send an email or like reach out on Astro Inferno on Facebook. That's probably the best right now, at least.
Cool. I'm really excited. I think this is going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to getting that some more rules on the quick start. Check the campaign out. That it's quite hard to find because there is so much on the campaign, but there is a PDF that you can grab, which is frequently updated, which has more and more assets from the final book. And I believe that as and when you get to them, the rules will be updated into that PDF. And yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
No, it really is.
I also think I'm like a kid. It's like, yes,
you're making that thing that's in your brain is coming out as a thing.
It's turning out into the thing I'm trying it to be. What the hell? Why is this succeeding? I don't know.
Joel says, "Let's go to hell."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be awesome.
We're gonna try and get an actual play when we get to a point where we have some rules. I'd love to show that on the show, but we'll see what comes out. In the meantime, if you guys are excited, please let us know. Please hit like, please comment. Let us know in the comments. Join our Discord. The Discord link is below in the comments on YouTube, in the description on YouTube. It's so cool. I'm really excited. I'm really, really pleased that you could join us.
Thanks for having me. I'm not used to this stuff, but
you should be used to it because it's awesome. Joel says Discord.
I'm joining the Discord.
I will
ask Niklas for the link.
It's below in the description. We'll try and remember what that music video was that we were talking about earlier. I'll make sure that gets
Turbo
updated.
Killer by Carpenter Brut. Yeah.
I've got a memory of someone who fails to remember stuff.
I remember the 90s.
I remember the 90s. I remember the 80s. It's not. I mean, the 80s, everything was very large, but I do remember the 80s.
Yeah, my pants were large.
Even the counters and the tables were large. Candy bars were like the size of your head.
Yeah, ice creams. Oh my God, the size of ice creams. They're like this tiny now.
I know it's disgraceful. The world is broken.
Yeah.
And we're all.
Thanks for having me. It was
Andreas,
really great.
A real pleasure. And we're looking forward to showcasing more of the game in coming months. If you've enjoyed, please hit like, please subscribe, join us on Discord. And until I see you again, and bearing in mind that we have a show every Friday where we talk about crowdfunding games that we are intrigued by or absolutely love. So join us on Friday at 8 p.m. UTC, 9 p.m. Central European Time, 3 p.m. East Coast USA for Kickstarter Weekend. But until then, I hope your dice rolls are way, way better than mine. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Take care. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.